Every comedy has to have a big emotional core. I always say that my movies are dramas that are funny because it has to have emotion and character arcs and things you invest in.
It's not just gag after gag.
No, you'll get very tired if it's just all gags.
Yeah.
Even the movie Airplane, which is the most gag-filled thing, you're still kind of rooting for him to overcome his fear of flying and all that. So you need that kind of thing.
Now, I am delighted because I'm joined by our next guest. He's a comedy king who has worked on all of your very favourite things, from Bridesmaids to The Office to 30 Rock. He's back with his new film, Jackpot, out next Thursday, the 15th of August on Prime Video. Please welcome the ever so dapper, he didn't disappoint, delightful and devilishly funny Paul Feig. Good morning.
Good morning, Angela. How are you?
I am fantastic. All the better for seeing you.
Oh, I'm back at you.
I mean, I've, you always turn up so dapper, but it is 9:20, and so I kind of was tempering my expectations. Not that you were going to come in a, tracky, because I feel like that might be just for your long walk.
No one wants to see that.
Well, maybe, but I think this, the suiting is very. It's such a vibe.
Yeah, I do like I like suits. I like men's style. Try to uphold it. I liked old Hollywood where you would see pictures of Alfred Hitchcock and John Ford, all these people wearing suits and ties on set. I always thought when I watch a movie, I want those people to be making it.
Okay. Yeah. So being in a suit makes you feel like it's that's
more
the
professional.
dream.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always say I'm the captain of the ship when I'm directing a movie, and if I got on a ship and the captain was wearing sweatpants, I'd probably get off the ship. Exactly.
Okay, so the scruffy Spielberg thing is worrying to you.
Well, yeah, I won't grow a beard. I won't wear a baseball hat. I swear. I will wear a cowboy hat, but not a baseball hat.
Fair enough. If you're listening, Paul is head to toe in a plaid suit, double-breasted, I'm going to say. It's quite Cary Grant.
Yep.
We've got like a burnt orange printed tie with the... Is it a corsage? There's a handkerchief.
It's called a boutonniere. Yeah, it's a little silk boutonniere. I have them in all different colors, but I'm in the colors of my movie Jackpot, which is kind of blue and orange. So, But this suit made by Terry Haste. Give a shout out to Mr. Haste.
It's fantastic. No top hat, which I know you're a fan of.
I do love a top hat. Yes.
So you like those kind of old affectations? The I suppose it's kind of pomp, isn't it?
Well, it totally is. Yeah, I mean, old affectations for especially for men's style is very funny to me, but it's also kind of great. I mean, a top hat is kind of awesome, and a cape. We're always threatening to try to bring back the cape.
Okay, and have you attempted it?
I do have a cape, but it's some days you're just like, do I want to attract that much attention?
Yeah, because I imagine you're not going under the radar.
No.
In a cape.
If you want to dress up these days, you do attract attention. It seems to be, because everybody's so casual now.
Well, I think that's it. So during lockdown, I imagine you were itchy looking at people in leggings.
Well, yeah, I mean, my whole thing during the lockdown was like, do something to get yourself out of your pajamas. Like, if you spend the whole day in what you slept in, there's no beginning or end to your day, and it feels very strange. So that's why I did my cocktail show on Instagram and would put on a suit every day and try to entertain.
I listed all of the roles that you have within, the business that you're known for, but you're also a mixologist.
Yes.
A gin maker.
There you go.
So is gin the one?
Yeah,
it's having quite a moment,
gin
isn't it?
I mean, gin. Yeah, but it's so nice being in the UK because you actually all love gin here.
We love gin.
And the US, I have my own brand of gin, Arding Stalls, brilliant London dry gin, available on Amazon.
Very good. John Cena mentioned
always
it
selling,
my
friend,
friend,
in a Jerry's. But in America, people don't know gin as well because we've classically only had like Beefeater and Tanqueray and all those things. So
the artisanal gins with all of the notes and...
Well, people just don't think they like gin there because I think a lot of people back when they were younger went down to the parents' basement and opened up like a bottle of Beefeater and went like, it tastes like pine cleanser.
Yeah, and then they wept for 2 days.
Exactly.
Thinking, that's not for me.
Exactly. So now they don't because some people I don't like gin. I go, well, try this, and they're like, oh, I like this. It's like, yeah, because you're thinking of old kind of traditional gins.
Okay, so more of an entry level. It's floral. I did my research. Yeah. Floral citrus with peppery notes.
There you go with the peppery
Love a
back
little
note.
kick
Yeah,
of a
there you
peppery
go.
back note.
It's
Delicious.
made for people who think they don't like gin, but also people who like gin. So
Okay, great.
That covers pretty much everybody.
And it makes a cameo, as do you, in Jackpot.
Yes, it does. Shameless, I know.
Well, I mean, that's the thing these days, isn't it? You got to have multiple things on the go.
Exactly.
So I watched Jackpot, as I mentioned. I moved house at the weekend and our Wi-Fi hasn't quite landed, let's just say. So I watched Jackpot on my phone, which I imagine is the worst possible way.
It's every filmmaker's dream.
Absolutely. And it was like black at the top and the bottom. It wasn't even full screen on my iPhone. But I enjoyed it tremendously.
Thank you.
Tell our listeners what it is about in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's basically about 6 years in the future in California, there is a lottery called the Grand Lottery. And if you buy a ticket and you win, everybody who has a losing ticket has until sundown to kill you legally and take your prize. So into this world comes our friend Awkwafina playing Katie Kim, and she accidentally wins the lottery by she has an Airbnb host and she borrows her pants and the lottery ticket's in there and she registers it. And so suddenly the whole world's trying to kill her. And John Cena is a amateur lottery protector who basically will protect you, get you to sundown for 10% of your commission. So
It's kind of Black Mirror, isn't it?
it's a little Black Mirror.
This might actually be a thing.
There you go, but much sillier than the
Of course. But and there is a kind of joy to it. I mean, the genre. Would you call what's the genre? It's not.
It's an action comedy
okay.
at its heart, but it's sort of a dystopian comedy.
Yes.
You know, I probably wouldn't have done the movie had it allowed people to use guns.
Yeah.
But that's the one rule in the Grand Lottery is you can't use guns. And so then I just went, this is just a big Jackie Chan movie then, because literally she's fighting off all these people and doesn't know what's going on.
And also, it's the undercover people who are after her, the sweet grannies caring for babies, and it's the madness that comes out in people when there's a multi-billion-dollar check at hand. So there's a flavor of Dawn of the Dead, as you say. It's done in a very comedic way, but you see all of these people literally emerging over the hill.
It is funny. We have to actually refer to it as kind of a zombie movie.
It is quite zombie.
Yeah, if you're motivated. I mean, look, it is the big question. I'd like to think most of us wouldn't do it, but at the same time, if $3 billion is there and legally you can kill somebody, but without
Would you?
Well, I wouldn't personally, but
You say that.
I know exactly. Let's put it to the test right now.
He's got a fistful of knuckle dusters. That would have come in handy.
We actually learn, without gunplay, actually seems kind of hard to kill somebody,
Okay,
which
good
is
to
nice.
know.
A nice positive message for humanity.
Very good. Yeah, because it does feel like that. John Cena comes in and he is. Yeah, he's the protector, but the initial scene of him is, he's kind of having a chat with himself in the mirror. He's very beefy. He looks like the stereotypical bad guy, and then he's this very melty.
He's very sweet.
He's gorgeous.
Yeah, no, that's what I loved about this is that this is not like a testosterone movie. It's really his character is this lovely guy who just wants to keep her safe, and you're not sure if you trust him or not, but he's really and John Cena's the nicest guy in the world. He really is just a gentle giant. And really smart, too.
And really smart. And really the dynamic between him and Awkwafina, who plays Katie, as you say, it's just very heartfelt. I mean, there's moments where I think, will they, won't they? Which I imagine was intentional. But then I kind of even mechanically couldn't work out whether that might happen.
Well, yeah, we really wanted it to be a friendship story, because I thought it was really sweet. And you don't see a lot of those. There always has to be a romance. And this just felt like they're kind of buddies in this. But, her character has a lot of trust issues. And so that's her big thing she has to hurdle over.
Which I think is the moment that you think, oh, wow, when the guy, without giving too much away, the actual baddie says the line that has been delivered to her before by a very trusting, or trusted parent. And that moment of, oh, wow, okay, she's about to turn the other way.
Yeah,
which I loved.
And she's so resourceful in the whole movie. And
she's amazing.
Yeah.
Also, the final scene, again, there's just such a joy and a glory in her face, and it feels like everybody, although they wanted to kill her 10 seconds prior, when they know the gig, there's a
that's kind of that was the hope, is that basically, because I'm not a pessimist, I love the human race and I'm very optimistic about people, and you kind of find through the movie there are people trying to kill her who want the prize, but then all the people who don't buy tickets, who aren't playing it, they're the ones that kind of want to save her.
They're willing
so it's
her on.
nice. So I feel there's more good people in the world.
Absolutely. Grand Death Lotto was the original name. Who vetoed that?
Well, it was originally Grand Theft Lotto, and
Okay.
then we got a lot of cease and desist from the Grand Theft Auto video game people, and then I
Okay.
said, well, let's just change it to Grand Death Lotto, and they still said they were going to sue us.
Oh, really?
Because God knows we don't want to besmirch the good name of Grand Theft Auto,
Of course, it's
a
such a
game where you
wholesome
get
situation.
beat up all people. Exactly.
So was then we think that you made a cameo.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a serving of papers for a potential trademark. Was that a slight wink and a elbow?
No, hilariously, it wasn't, because we do, when I make my movies, we have a really funny script and then we have all these alternate jokes, but now I'll usually have some writers on the set who are writing jokes in the moment, and they came up with that bit of like serving John Cena with these papers. And I was just like, well, who's going to be the lawyer? I'm always in a suit and tie in the set, so I was like, just give me
He's
the
ready
thing.
to go.
So if you see it, like my hair is terrible. Like I hadn't had a haircut, and so I'm the scruffiest looking lawyer you've ever seen. But why not?
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. You are referred to, or have been by Variety, as the king of feminist comedies.
Oh, I love that.
Does that still feel true, or do you think that's come from Bridesmaids and is a mantle you're happy to
I mean,
hold?
for me, I just always want my lead characters to be women. I like telling women's stories. In a way that is just fun, I felt for so many years in comedy, women's roles were very one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always kind of stuck playing supporting roles of the mean wife or the mean girlfriend or whatever, and it's not fair. And so
It's not real either.
No, it's totally not real. And so I just was like, I just would rather put women into these stories, because all the women I know are so funny. All my favorite comedy people are women, and it just really came from that. And there's no kind of social justice warrior thing about it, other than I just think it's not fair that women don't have good roles. And so it's just what I love to do.
Yeah, but there's great lines in it as well where you think that, it's delivered with such aplomb, there's a kind of lovely, there's an edge. I think there's a, gentle anarchy and a pointedness to some of the lines, which I absolutely love.
Thanks.
You have frequently collaborated with Melissa McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I listened to a podcast that you did with Kevin Hart recently, and that it's kind of almost accidental, because you would imagine, oh wow, he's really into Melissa, and you think when there's these kind of long time collaboration relationships that you're writing with that person in mind or for that person, but that's not actually the case.
No, I love Melissa, and she's kind of fallen into each. We've done 4 movies together, and they were all right in a row. And I mean, Bridesmaids I'd never even met Melissa or seen her before, and she came in audition. She was so great, so put her in that, and then The Heat was sent to me with somebody else in mind for that role. The writer had written somebody else, and I was reading it and going like, it would be really funny. This is Melissa. So did that for her. Yeah. Spy I wrote with somebody else completely in mind, who then ended up not wanting to do it. And Melissa got a hold of the script and was like, I want to do this. So it was great. And then Ghostbusters, I was like, who do I was trying to figure out who to cast. And she called up and said, like, if you want me in this, I'd love to do it. I was like, oh, that'd be fun. Yeah. So, but that's, but we haven't worked together since then. It's just because every project needs a different type of person in it, and so I'll always cast the best person for the role over a friendship or anything like that.
Okay. And I mean, that like those movies that you mentioned there, all of them, I think there would be a willing audience ready and waiting for a sequel, but you're quite allergic to a sequel.
Yeah, I sequels are hard because, think of the number of sequels you've seen where you're like, that was great. They're out there, but more often than not, you're like, no, I didn't think we needed that.
Okay. Or it didn't live up maybe to the expectation or the first one.
Well, the reason movies work is you're discovering characters for the first time, in general, unless it's, a Marvel movie or something like that, that you've never met before. So you have to meet them, fall in love with them, and have a stake in them overcoming whatever problem they have. Every character you meet has a big problem that they have to solve through the movie. That's why movies exist. And so if that person successfully solves their problem by the end of the movie, it's hard to then in the sequel go like, okay, well, they have a new problem they have to solve, or So it can be done, and we've seen it, be done quite successfully. But it's just it's not an automatic thing that like it used to be. I mean, Hollywood used to be always like, once something was successful, they made a sequel no matter what.
Let's go.
But audiences got very savvy to that, and the big question was always for audiences was why? Why do I need to see this? What is this going to give me different than the first movie gave me? And so we have to be really aware of that.
But it does feel like quite a luxury then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To actually go, no, I'm not gonna do that, even though there is a willing appetite. Because I do think, yes, there may be a why, but I mean, I could definitely think of a why that we'd get Kristen back.
Yeah, I think it would be another crazy wedding or something. That could be really fun, but it's just like, what is the every comedy has to have a big emotional core. I always say that my movies are dramas that are funny because it has to have emotion and character arcs and things you invest in.
It's not just gag after gag.
No, you'll get very tired if it's just all gags.
Yeah.
There's no, even the movie Airplane, which is the most gag-filled thing, you're still kind of rooting for him to overcome his fear of flying and all that. So you need that kind of thing.
Yeah. The idea of dipping in and out and exploring a new genre almost every film.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, I actually completely going in the face of what I said about sequels. Exactly. I made my first sequel, which is the sequel to A Simple Favor. With Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, Yes. And that was just because I love those characters, and I was like, I feel like we're not finished with those characters yet. And I had this idea for something that takes place in Italy at a destination wedding, and that I was trying to work on something else. And I was like, wait a minute, what if I marry these two and talk to our writer, who wrote the first one, Jessica Sharzer, and we were like, oh, so we came up with it, and then. It seemed like a lot of fun, and so we went through a million rewrites on it, and I actually threw out one whole script during the writer's strike, but now we just finished filming it in Italy, and I just did our first test screening of an early cut, and it scored very, very high.
Okay,
so
I love that the test screening thing is fascinating.
Yeah.
To me, because things that you have invested in and you think will work. Bomb and other things don't, I imagine.
Well, you have to, I can sit around all day and my team can sit around all day. Well, this is great, or that joke's hilarious, or this really works. But until you put it in front of an audience, you don't know. And you're constantly finding out, like, oh, they don't understand that. That's usually the biggest thing you find out. Well, it's two things. You find out that a joke you think is funny isn't funny.
Yeah,
so you got to get rid of it or change it out. And that people just have a confusion because we know the script so well and the story so well.
You're so in it.
That we're like, oh, of course they know that. And then they're like, I don't understand this. You're like, oh, you know what? We didn't explain that.
Okay.
And that's, you can't get mad at an audience for not understanding something.
No, you can't get mad at an audience unless they don't watch the film. Ideally, not on an iPhone.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Jackpot is out on Thursday, the 15th of August on Prime Video. Thank you so much for coming
Angela.
to
You're
visit
the best.
us. Bye-bye.
Cheers.